Look at this. I got headphones on. I got a mic going. Baby.
If
Huh?
only people could see you now.
Hey, no video. We've gone through this before.
All right,
No
all right,
video.
all right. Welcome to This Commerce Life. This is a podcast aimed at small, medium entrepreneurs focused on commerce. I'm Phil, your host, and Kenny, your co-host, will join us as well. And we're going to talk to you about the world of retail and commerce and how things are changing in the world.
God blessed window. Anyway,
Is that a PC or a Mac, Kenny?
it's a MacBook, Michael. It's a MacBook.
Okay.
You know, I love my MacBook. I do. I'm okay. Phil's going to get all agitated. I love Apple, but when shit goes wrong with Apple, I have huge problems because when you use Apple, you don't need to know anything. Dummies like me can use Apple because they're designed for me. But when things go a little sideways or, they go a little off track, I got nowhere to go because I don't know how to use a computer properly. Because that's why I use Apple. It's so easy.
Yeah, me too.
Madonna.
My only thing I do is set it so it doesn't automatically update so I can control it because I usually search and say, was that a good update? And
Yeah.
I did that too.
Wait an extra month or two after all the problems are worked out and
get the bugs out, let everybody else go through the misery.
Yeah.
Well, I told mine to not do anything. It asked me yesterday, do you want to update? I said, no, update later. Apparently later is at 7:48 this morning.
Today. Yeah. That's so funny.
Stupid thing. Honestly.
I'm not going to get excited. I'm on Windows, so the bar is a little bit different. It's cheaper and it breaks more often. So when you're more skilled at it, so you're the level's set where it is. So
I got really into IT because I guess I needed to in business when I was running all the PCs and stuff. But then Windows Vista killed me, and I switched over to Mac just because I could close the laptop, open it up, it started working again instead of like 2 minutes to reboot the operating system. And I've never looked back since then.
It's hard not to because typically when Phil's not going to, but when they run, they run. I love my Apple products. Everything connects easy. It's mindless like a PC. When you open up your PC for the first time, you got to do 75 updates. It takes 3 hours before you get allowed to use your PC. That's just Windows, right?
Yeah.
You open up a Mac, it's how are you? What do you want to do today? What can I help you with?
Totally.
It just like it wants to sit and have a cup of coffee with you. It's lovely.
Yeah, I do. I do most of my business off my phone nowadays, but the phone, the computer are all just terminals, and Mac seems to have that. At least they sync nicely. So, I was going to ask you guys on because I didn't know on mic. I do have a podcast mic, but I moved my desk, so I haven't set that up fully yet. But I'm on my computer, and I also have a Pro iPod. The wireless, so I'm good either.
You're good the way you are.
You sound great the way you are. You sound great. Yeah,
good. I'm on my.
It's a brand new Mac. Just came out of the box like 3 weeks ago. So
still smells fresh.
It's like that guy. That new car fresh smell.
Yes. Yeah.
No, I'm using the iPad mic, so hopefully it sounds okay too.
Phil.
You're
right. Yeah, you're right. I'll just edit you out, Kenny. It's all good.
I'm waiting for that anyway. So really wasn't anything more that I expected or not.
Phil, you're in Toronto?
I am.
You guys are bi-coastal,
Yeah.
So I saw that Toronto's going back down. Now you can only hang out with like 10 of your closest friends, not 25 or something.
Yeah. I think our problem is that somebody like all these parties have transposed to zero, right? So it was 25, but it really turned out to be 250.
Right.
We've just been misreading the signs, I think is our problem. So I don't know.
We're not much different in BC. Mike, where are you?
Manitoba. We're the have-not province.
Take it and run, buddy.
And this one will take the have-nots.
Take it and run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Manitoba is number one.
I moved into the country three years ago, and so I have this big prediction of the back to the land movement for other people because generally, and thanks to all the home deliveries at home, I'm enjoying the not traveling myself. I canceled 26 trips after in March, mid-March. So I had about 35 trips for the year, which is low for me.
Wow.
Going down, but then I went to, I had 6 in, I think, or something like that before March, and then I'm not traveling like that anymore. I've really enjoyed the.
Isn't it nice though?
Use of technology, to fly around and it's at the triple bottom line: better, healthier for the person, lower cost for the business, healthier for the planet. Zoom in and do a 3-hour meeting instead of fly somewhere. 3 days of flight and travel to Bentonville, Arkansas for a 20-minute meeting with Walmart. That kind of stuff's just ridiculous, but everyone would do it all the time. And now, because there's been 6 months or longer of kind of stop in that, I think there'll be some long-lasting change in how people, can just really use technology. And
it's fantastic, really.
I think that's what we're all hoping to. Like, I'm hoping it's going to go that way too. Like, I'm hoping this. I mean, it's sometimes you have to go through some interesting things in life. Sometimes good, bad, or whatever it is, to actually have change happen. Like this one has fundamentally changed. Phil and I've talked about, I think, how we shop, definitely how we do business. Like it's going to Toronto for 2 days or 3 days to do half an hour, 2-hour meetings even. It's insanity.
Yep.
The 2-hour meeting is an hour, 45 minutes on Zoom. You don't have to go anywhere. Oh, my wife's delivering my laptop. Thank God.
You can make a cup of tea.
Thank you.
Make a cup of tea in your kitchen. Go to bed at night. Like
I can do 7 or 8 meetings in the same day that I would have been on planes. Doing either watching movies or working on the laptop. But it's kind of nice now just to be home. You don't have this pressure to be at airports and. I don't know. I'm kind of I'm not saying I'm enjoying the pandemic. We'll watch the wording, but I kind of like the fact that it's grounded us into a whole different world. I don't mind this being at home. I mean, I don't know. I just think it's different. It's been nice to some degree.
Like it.
Obviously, the deaths are not good, but
So, Kenny, do you want to do intros?
I can do a quick intro. Mike's going to do most of his intro because Mike knows Mike better than Mike. Quick thing, happy 25th anniversary. Mike's gone through some, which he'll just talk about hopefully in a minute, but some pretty huge life transformations over the last 25 years. Went from, I don't want to say an unhealthy lifestyle, let you describe it, but from a lifestyle of before to a very healthy lifestyle today. Mike started, ran, sold. I don't know if you're still involved with Manitoba Harvest. Did that for a million years. Massive, total shift in industry. I remember when we listed it years ago, it was still relatively new, but fundamental changes in business, getting the United States to look at hemp differently, et cetera, which hopefully we can talk about as well. But I'm thrilled. I'm really excited to have Mike on. Mike's the classic entrepreneur. Had a very interesting life, done incredible things. Now is looking like you're doing a lot more giving back, doing a lot of mentoring, doing some investing into startups, et cetera. So it's pretty cool. So that's what we have on today. We have Mike Fata. Mike Fata was the CEO, founder of Manitoba Harvest, and now doing a multitude of a billion other things. So I can't wait to hear what you're up to. Haven't seen you in a while, so kind of stoked. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Our little podcast.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you want to start, Mike. If you want to start, if you want to start on the happy 25th, so people understand why I'm wishing you a very happy 25th anniversary.
Sure. Yeah. And I am celebrating. It's been 25 years since I decided to take my health into my own hands and change it. There's lots of story about me, and people could search it, but I wasn't educated about health when I was young, and then fell prey really to the fast food movement, and found myself weighing 300 or maybe even 320, 330 pounds when I was 18 years old, and that sucked, and it was I was tired and sick all the time, and I thought that was just the way that life was, and one day I decided to do something about that, and started to make the change, and that was 25 years ago, and so I thought, hey, very fitting to celebrate those 25 years at the start of that journey, and that journey's brought me a lot of things that journey towards health and the passion towards health.
Wow.
What motivated it though?
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's a lot of people that get to the stage that you got to, and you know what a lot of us will do, and it doesn't have to be weight. It could be anything, you know, where you look at it and you sort of see the problem or a challenge or whatever you want to call it, but that doesn't mean you do anything or act on it. So what? So you're at that stage. Most people or many people would just continue on. Like, what was the sort of the trigger?
Yeah, a couple things. A lot of it had to do with the just being sick and tired of being sick and tired, like a lot of pain, you know, and you have enough discomfort and pain, and that
changes things.
Yeah, that's a motivator. You know, it was that time in life, you know, when I was 18, there definitely was the female attraction, and I had a lot of girlfriends that were friends that you know, I started to have those urges of change at that time of life as well, and so that definitely was also a motivator. And then my older brother had gone through a little bit of health change. He was a little bit overweight, chubby, not obese, not in the same space as myself, but he had started to work out and exercise and change his whole lifestyle, and so I saw that as a potential path. Maybe that helped the process, and he definitely got me started in my exercise and workout regime. But most of it was the pain and just being tired of being sick and tired.
Right. So amazing. The first steps what were they? So were you, because ultimately what we're going to segue into is we're going to segue into why Manitoba started in food, etc. But what was it? Like, is it you decided to start pumping weights in the garage with your brother, or did you start
it was. And I mean, you know, 20 years later, we have the benefit of, I'd say, just use that example of The Biggest Loser. If you've ever seen The Biggest Loser TV show, it was like that. You know, my brother's like, hey, I'll take you to the gym and okay. And go to the gym when he'd already been, you know, probably 3-4 years of working out. And I remember the first time on doing a bench press, and it was just the bar, and I'm crying literally, I can't do this. He's like, yes, you can do this. And so, you know, I that's how I relate it now, because and I don't watch a lot of TV, but I've seen that show, and you know, that transformational change starts with a lot of discomfort to everything new. And so it started in the gym with me, and then just you know, like many things, there's not one big win, there's a million little wins, and so I just started making changes in my diet and lifestyle and experimenting with myself.
Wow. So from there, how does that tie? So the working out, getting in shape, where does that take you in the rest of your, like, I'm sure it affects, you know, your perception with the ladies, it affects your lifestyle. How does it, tap into your entrepreneurial spirit? Like, how do you get to Manitoba Harvest from there?
Yeah. Well, a couple things. I mean, I dropped out of school when I was 13 with support of my mom. So I was already in the workforce when I was 14, and at that time was construction, and so I was working first carpentry as a carpenter's apprentice, and then to asphalt and concrete, so heavy construction. So I already had and by the time I was 17, 18, even though I was in an unhealthy space physically, I think mentally I was seeing, this work where I was, you know, supervising people that were older than me in construction. So I had that, and I saw the kind of way that that business started to or business worked. On my personal side, the physical changes, I was experimenting with what I would see now as all these different fad diets, and the no fat diet was very popular in the mid and late 1990s. Dr. Nathan Pritikin and all of his materials, and so I started reading all this information and getting interested in that's my secret to lose weight. And I was losing weight, but I learned the hard way about, you know, that your body needs fat, those essential fatty acids, and that came about, you know, reading Udo Erasmus's book Fats That Heal, Fats That Kill, which is the Fat Bible, and kind of broke down that, you know, not all fat is bad. There's definitely your body needs fat, and so a combination of my kind of entrepreneurial spirit that was already charged up, getting to a place where I saw that things were going to change from the no fat movement to the right fat movement. And then I had met the other two co-founders of Manitoba Harvest that were hemp activists, and they were lobbying the government to legalize hemp. And I think those three things came together, and I saw the opportunity that, hemp oil, and that was the vision was as big as hemp oil at that time, that hemp oil would be a product similar to flax seed oil that could be in high demand, or there could be a demand for it.
Wow. And when, because hemp as a kind of mainstream anything really hasn't really been around a long time. So what year, or kind of what range of years was this?
Yeah, well, hemp was very mainstream in the past, because it's been for thousands of years used as a food, as a fuel, as a fire.
Yeah.
But in the 1930s, for whatever the political agenda or reasoning was, it got tied up with marijuana.
Yeah.
Hemp and marijuana are both in the cannabis family.
Yeah.
But hemp was outlawed in the U.S. first, and then in Canada in 1938. So from 1938 until the mid 1990s, no one talked about hemp. It was a bad four-letter word that it was frowned upon to even discuss. And so Martin and Alex, the two co-founders of Manitoba Harvest, were lobbying first the provincial government in Manitoba, which they got support for through the university and the kind of a hemp awareness program to test and see, first, because throughout that time, Phil, hemp was it was illegal to grow in Canada, but it was not illegal to have the products, which was, so you could bring products in, hemp paper, textiles, different products from around the world and sell them in Canada, but farmers couldn't grow the crop and you couldn't have business here. And so it was that there was a groundswell and a lobbying movement that started kind of mid 1990s that resulted in Health Canada legalizing hemp nationally in Canada in 1998.
Yeah, I have that impression. So I remember, I was in university in the 90s, right? And so I remember the hemp sweaters, the multicolor, kind of sweaters. And that was the first thing. And you wore one of those and people would go, are you smoking up in the back too? And you're kind of going, it's really great to wear. It's a sweater. Like what's, but it was such a weird thing, right? Like especially when you start to crack it open, you realize all the uses for hemp, all the legitimate uses for hemp, right? That you kind of like, how does this become tied to the Grateful Dead? And, and that's it, right? So very cool. So you're building hemp, hemp oil. So how does this come together? So you guys are thinking about hemp oil and kind of building that out?
Yeah, and so it was, and you're right, and hemp was a very counterculture, and for a number of reasons why people didn't want to, alienate themselves from the rest of society, so they didn't talk about it. And the folks that were interested in, most products were sold, if you recall, and if you've ever been into a hemp store. It was a hemp store that basically sold everything hemp, and so the textiles and clothing and paper and products and maybe some seed products and then usually some paraphernalia as well, pipes and stuff. And so
bongs.
Because I was coming from my my healthy lifestyle changes, I was hanging out in the health food store by my mom's place. Quite often, actually going there and shopping and learning about all these new natural health products that were helping to change my health. And so it was important for me, and I saw that to legitimize hemp, we had to remove it from the counterculture, remove it from this hemp only kind of store, and bring it into the mainstream, even though at that time mainstream was natural health food stores.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the founding of the company and the positioning was my thought was quite simple at that time. Just take what has been done in flaxseed oil and other essential fatty acid oils like borage and even primrose and such, and position the hemp product like that. And so, as soon as I had a target of what we want, how we wanted to commercialize, then it was like, well, how do we get this done? And from there, it was really, one farmer growing our first hemp field in Manitoba, we got an oil press so we could press the seed into oil, and then we use the resources of the Food Development Center, which is a government assisted facility to help bring food product to market, to actually bottle up the oil and put a label on it. And then I had the hard job of convincing the health food store owner to bring it in and start selling it on the shelf.
I'm still kind of curious though, Mike. If you look at it, especially when you're talking, excuse me, you could have gone into flax. You could have picked up fish oils, which weren't huge at the time, but coming on. You could have picked so many other things to focus on, so many other categories, because your entrepreneurial spirit was obviously there. Specifically, why hemp?
Yeah, I think, and I haven't been as open about it because when I was in the business, but medicinal cannabis was a big part of my health changes, and so I was a believer in cannabis, but more specifically on the hemp side, I always thought hemp was cool. Even years before that, I had visited some hemp stores, and I had a hemp bracelet, a hemp fiber, and so I thought it was cool, and I'm not sure still if I found hemp as a plant or the plant found me, but I felt like I could resonate with it and bring that message forward more so than. And I know all about all these other great products that are nutritious. It just they didn't call me anywhere near the same level as hemp did.
I guess I was trying. Yeah, I don't want to get into your personal things, and people don't need to know what you do, but. Because half of my side is Russian, it's Doukhobor, right? So Doukhobors were using hemp for, well, I think they used it when they came, and they were definitely using it in the Kootenays. So they were growing hemp in the early teens and 20s, and for what the usual things, textiles, because the material is phenomenal, right? It breathes awesome, it wears well, etc. But it wasn't because of the plants or derivatives of other plants within the same family's uses. As it goes into time, it gets tied to marijuana and et cetera, et cetera. But I was always curious to see why you picked hemp. I mean, of anything to pick. So yeah, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to go out and start something really fucking cool, go crazy. And I'm going to pick a product that's illegal in both countries that I'm going to work in. Like, that makes total sense to me. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was trying to go in my head. Why did he pick hemp? Could have picked a million things. Why does he go down that path? And then does a wicked job and actually gets the laws changed.
As I sit now and I reflect back on it, I realized that when I was overweight and out of shape, I didn't fit in. As part of the reason why I wanted to leave school, because I just high school was very social, and I had enough of the bullies and the antisocial and all that, so I didn't fit in. When I started to lose the weight, I started to fit in more, just naturally, and so maybe there was my calling of I didn't want to fit in too much, and so I needed something that would
counterculture,
that would have me stand out, and I'd be continuing to fight the fight of fitting in, and that's what we've kind of done with hemp. We just had the vision and stood up for it and say, this should be part of everybody's diet and lifestyle. People shouldn't be afraid of it. Here's the real information. Don't listen to the misinformation from the past, and just try it out. And so I guess that could be the reason. Fighting for the creating space for the individual and the unique.
A good fight. I mean, I think, and I think a lot of our listeners may not be specifically in the natural health space or as involved as you are, definitively, because you're all over and everybody in the natural health space knows you, but for sure. And actually in the mass space now. But people, I don't think, realize that hemp is a pretty solid food. It's a good source of protein. It's a good source of fat. It's a good source of carbohydrate. Like it's a complete product. It
tastes really good.
Yeah, and it tastes great. Right. I remember listening when you guys first sort of started creeping into mass, or maybe I met you guys at Expo or wherever I met you guys. The packaging was already cool, and it could, like, even as a mainstream person, you could see that this this could work. And at the time, and I'll give you the example. The reason I listed it is sort of why I'm asking is I listed it because I'm looking at it thinking, oh fuck, if we could have hemp in the stores, like how cool is that? Because it wasn't acceptable yet per se. It wasn't like everybody's talking hemp. When they were talking hemp, everybody's talking dope. That's all people associated with hemp, right? So the listings, even on my part, were probably more motivated because I thought it would incite potential controversy or chat because of the commodity that it was, even though I already knew that. I mean, it's got nothing to do with the other side. But I was just trying to figure out, like,
it's edgy, and that's what I've always appreciated about hemp and marketability of hemp. It has a mystique that draws people in, and really primes them to be educated and learn about what the crop really is. And it's all it comes from the misinformation campaigns in the past. And so people are thinking, oh, I'm going to get into hemp, and maybe that's risque, and at the and so that helps with drawing new consumers or leading. I think that at that time you guys were, it wasn't bleeding edge, but it was leading edge, right? To take a chance and put the products on the shelf and that in itself builds awareness and helps it become more mainstream. So something that's not as that doesn't have the mystique or isn't as sexy sometimes doesn't get that chance,
Exactly. So what were the challenges? Sorry, Phil, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Go. Go.
I think we're along the same line. So I was curious, like now you've got a ton of products that Manitoba Harvest has kind of this full lineup. There's a bunch of folks in hemp. How long did it take you? You started with a hemp oil, right? How long did it take you to get the conversation to go from, hey, Mike, the pot dealer, maybe stop trying to sell me hemp oil to, I'm not suggesting you're a drug dealer. I'm just saying, that shifting that conversation from the, this is something we don't want. How long does it take you to get the market to, start listening to you, kind of getting some of that traction?
Yeah. I mean, it took a good 7 or 8 years, Phil, before the first 5 years, we were out constantly in the marketplace doing demos, doing trade shows. But what happened? The majority of people that would just walk by, whether it's a demo or a sampling at a trade show, and say, "Ha ha ha, I'm not into that stuff."
Yeah,
and then not even want to stop. And so you could see. I've spent so much time in front of consumers and in front of our industry at trade shows and such that you could see the change. You could see it being 90% of people wouldn't stop and would kind of laugh, and then it was 80%, and then down, and even at consumer events when someone would say, "Hey, can I get high from this?" which is obviously the number one joke around hemp food. You'd have people on the other side of the table standing beside them saying, "Oh, don't you know this is really great tasting food and rich in essential fatty acids?" Yeah. And so the information was on our strategy kind of was one person at a time, one customer at a time. Like, take the time to put the information into their head and get the products into their mouth, and they would be converted. But it took to get that snowball rolling. I guess it took about 7 or 8 years, which by then the business was maybe up to $3 or $4 million in sales, just to give you kind of perspective.
Okay. Wow.
When did it? So, I mean, you can do trade shows all day, and you can get the Natural Health Channel excited on a lot of things, because the Natural Health Channel typically is a lot more maverick and a lot more bleeding edge, as you called it, relative then to the mass channel. So, but the problem with the Natural Health Channel in our country, for sure, I don't know about the States, you're talking 10-15% of the population who's really in that channel. The other 85 to 90% reside in regular channels, right? And I'm assuming the illegality once Canada goes legal, that's obviously makes it easy for Canadian retailers to go. But you've got a beast to the south that is still looking at your commodity as, no, we don't want this dope in our stores or in our country. So what's the process to finally get that animal to come on side? And then what happens to the business? Is it like an overnight sensation, or is it still a grind?
No, still a grind. Again, no big wins. And I'm a believer that there is no big wins in life. It's a million little wins, Kenny. And it took probably, 13 years into the business until we started to really going in the US. And we launched we started the business in 1998. We launched in the US in 2001. So 2001. So, it was a good 10-year grind in the US. And a couple things happened. Canada Mass Channel was starting to adopt more and more natural products because they realized, the margin's good and customers want it. So why not put it on the shelves? And so as we got entrance into Canadian Mass because we were doing so many consumer shows, that was really the way that we built the business in Canada. Every consumer health show, every major city has one, and we'd go back and forth across the country. And every weekend we were at a show, and we'd just be meeting new consumers there and selling them product, but at the same time saying, hey, go into your favorite retailer and ask for our products and give them a brochure, like the old school guerrilla marketing. And so I remember the day that Loblaws phoned us and said, hey, so many of our set managers, our natural product managers are saying customers are coming in the store and we need to sell this product. And so guess what? We got in, no listing fees, and it was on like pure demand. I don't know if that happens anymore, but that's kind of the way that it worked. And so as we built that momentum up in Canada, when we went to the US, especially with and a shout out to Costco because of their international trade. When we were successful in Costco Canada, Costco USA wanted to try the products. But when we were successful in kind of other, the Loblaws, Safeway, Sobeys, the other major mass accounts in Canada, the US accounts, the US mass was watching that as well and saying, oh, is that the future? And so I think ultimately, gave us an opportunity where we did get small listings, like a one SKU in an account in the US and really had to grind it to grow that awareness. And it's still very small. Like I could tell you at the end of my journey with the company, after 20 years, we had got household penetration in Canada up to about 10%. But in the U.S., it was still around 1 or 1.5%. So there's still a huge opportunity for hemp and hemp foods in the U.S. And I still believe that the business could double in Canada for where really household penetration should be for the type of product that hemp arts or hemp foods are.
I think emphatically it's gonna go that way. And because you're very public on the numbers. I mean, Manitoba Harvest is no longer a $3 or $4 million company. Manitoba Harvest is doing quite well. So it's at a size where the upward growth is
and that's inevitable. All. That's all public information because that Manitoba Harvest was bought by a public company. Well, it's been bought by a public company a couple times now, twice. But
right.
But it's about $100 million or north of that in sales per year. So
it's a good number. It's a good sized company. That's not bad, buddy.
It's a pretty good number.
It's something to be extra proud of, especially it's a very big food company, or it's a big food company. It's a very big food company in Manitoba, and in our industry. There's a lot of entrepreneurs want to get to that size. It's just
absolutely.
It's almost impossible. If I see it now, and because everyone wants to look and say, overnight success, or look at this company, I just want to be just like that. It's a tremendous amount of work, and everything has to work. I can tell you the million ways it almost went wrong over that 20 years. We just kept going and grinding at it.
So for younger entrepreneurs who are listening, like what were some of the things that maybe would have stopped you that Mike said, you know what, bullshit, this is not going to stop me? Like what were some of the huge challenges? There had to be times where you sat there and thought, what am I doing? Like I should go to flaxseed oil like Vanucci's thinking, because that is so much easier than the path I'm going down. So there had to be something in there that,
there's so many. I mean, the big ones, when we, Mother Nature, and if you have bad crop years and can't produce the product, there's a lot of sleepless nights over not being able to supply, but real threats against the business, we launched in the U.S. in September 1st, 2001, on the East Coast of the U.S. And then September 11th happened. And that took a huge amount of wind out of the sails. But then 4 weeks after that, on October 9th, the DEA declare a war on hemp foods and said hemp foods were illegal in the U.S., even though they weren't illegal. But just really, misinformation campaigns and a huge amount of confusion. And so our hundreds of thousands of dollars that we were spending at that time to launch in the U.S., that was all that we had, and it was more than all that we had, all just burned. That cash burned instantly. All the retailers all dropped their products. The UNFI and the other distributors were shipping them back to us and said, hey, we can't sell this. We'll be arrested by the DEA. And really, it was only Whole Foods at that time that had done their homework and took a stance and said, no, we don't believe this is illegal. We're going to keep fighting this. If not, it would have totally unraveled then. But that's one that it took. That DEA, that we got together with a number of other companies, and the Hemp Industry Association took the DEA to court, and defeated the DEA after 2.5 years. But those 2.5 years, there was just so much confusion in the marketplace that headwind was so strong against us I tell you openly, there was nights that I went to sleep and I was just crying in my bed, not sure that it was all going to work out. The thing that kept driving me was my personal interest in the product. I thought, if we stop doing this business and we fail and we just let the business crumble and die, where am I going to get my hemp parts from? And it was that personal interest in the business and testimonials that we would get from, and many senior citizens were interested and were some of the early adopters of our products, and we'd phone and say, I'm eating hemp parts or hemp oil, and I'm feeling better, my digestion's better, my arthritis is less bothering me. These things that we knew anecdotally were that were having a positive impact on the health. Those were the drivers that kept us in the game. But there was so many threats against us. Small, medium, and super large, like that DEA experience.
I still find it mind-boggling. I mean, I knew some of the story from before, and that's why I think you've always sort of fascinated me for that reason, is that it's not, you go through a tough time, like business can go through a tough time, but to have a government not on your side, you've got retailers now sending product back. And yet the decision in your mind and your fellow partners is, well, that's not that bad. We should just keep fighting. Because I'll tell you right now, 99.9999999 is going to call it in. Because what are you fighting? You're fighting a government. You're fighting, you're bleeding because the product's coming back. You've lost a market that you need because Canada is just too small. And at that time, you're probably well invested into this growth hope. And you can't put this, the Canada can't absorb.
Dude, you're gonna make him cry again. What are you doing?
Phil, I seriously, there's a reason I wanted Mike on the show, because I love Mike's story. I love the fact that you drop out, you have some challenges, you look at him, you fight him. He talks so lovely about his mom. It's just a really cool story. It's more of a personal. It's just, I find it fascinating. I really do, that most people just would give up. Like, what is it in your head that you just keep fucking pushing? Like, why?
Yeah, well, I think there's, the one that comes to mind, like, and I'm grateful nowadays. I go and I do give back a lot, and I have for a long time, as much time as I had. But I've always found it interesting talking to business students and MBA students about building business, and lecturing to them. When I think the number one thing that kept me going and drive was that I didn't know. If I went to business school and knew the odds of success of all that we were trying to do, I probably would have been another one to pull the parachute and get out, because I was like, we're fighting the impossible fight. But I just didn't know. I didn't know what the size of the market was. I didn't know what the odds of success were. I didn't know that you shouldn't just go and go guns a blazing against government or policy and try to rewrite things. I just didn't know. And so I did have this, and it was through my health changes. That I'm not going to stop myself. If someone else is going to stop me, try and try to go ahead, but I'm not going to stop myself. And so, those dynamics, I guess, working, but it wasn't easy. That's for sure.
No,
it wasn't easy,
no,
Pat.
no. I mean, you definitely took an interesting hill to climb. So, because I just want to segue a little bit into sort of today. So, what's driving the Mike Fata of 2020? You know, what's in that mind? What are you curious about? What are the things that you're thinking? You know, I want to. What is it like? What's driving your curiosity right now?
You know, I'd rewind a couple of years, because as I got out of the day-to-day management of the business, and I needed to, you know, I kind of hit an executive burnout, and I wasn't sure when we started this business that I could run $1 million company or a $10 million company, but I'm sure got to the point when we got up to to where the business is at, that it wore me, and I let myself get worn out, and so I had to come back into it with rebuilding myself, which was very similar to the health journey that I went through in my 20s, doubling down on my nutrition, on my exercise, on my meditation, on my time with friends and family. And I got myself back up to a place where I felt like, oh, you know, I have more capacity. I'm not in this burnout kind of space. And that shone clarity on that 100%. My personal passion in life is health. And my purpose in life is to share health with the world. And so the more time that I sit with myself, I want to be the healthiest me that I can. I want my friends and family to have every opportunity to be the healthiest them that they can. And I overall want the natural products and the health community to have every support that I can possibly offer them. And so now I've been playing around. I've been, even in a COVID kind of environment, my favorite thing has been over the last 20 years is wandering around trade shows, meeting people that I don't know that have like and similar interests that are trying to do something, and to befriend them and offer, hey, what are you trying to do and who are you trying to meet and what's your project, and all these cool things when it comes to, especially when it comes to health and food and items that can become part of us. And so I've taken to, just touching in with other founders and people that are doing cool things, especially in the natural and organic food industry, and trying to help them either through introductions or information or some learnings from the scars on my back. Right. So, there isn't a big grandiose plan. There isn't an agenda. There isn't an end game in mind. It's enjoying the journey part, and I'm clear on what my journey is now and what my purpose is, and so I'm all in. Or I feel like I'm back all in, because I had to take a little hiatus there to kind of restructure myself and get to my healthiest me, or get my own oxygen mask on first before I started helping other people.
I kind of enjoy that, because I do. I mean, I've known you for years. We've never really talked, but I've known you for years, and I know and I've really enjoyed the last probably mostly COVID time, even on LinkedIn. Your whole outlook has seemed to have changed. Your attitude, you're definitively trying to give back more. I think that's why we reached out to you, because you were talking about doing a show and interviewing some of the founders in the health industry in Canada, or people who are just really cool. So I think it's good. You talk the talk, you walk the walk, which is
pretty
hard
cool
to find today in this world. So what excites you today, though, Mike? Like, what is it? Like, what's the new and the cool? What's the next?
Well,
what's the next play?
I'm super excited about mushrooms. I can tell you that. I think that.
I think there's a huge play in that too.
I don't know if I ever. Maybe the same thing as hemp. I thought that mushrooms were cool before. I didn't know a lot about them, but now I think cannabis, hemp, and mushrooms are both, our food, supplements, medicines, drug, just phenomenal resources on this planet. And so I got involved with a very cool mushroom company, which I would say is the Manitoba Harvest of the functional mushroom industry. And that is really exciting me. I see that mushrooms are going from weird to people that I don't like mushrooms, or I don't like mushrooms, to, oh wait, mushrooms can help my immune system. Mushrooms are good for me, kind of thing. So, I'm not involved day to day in any business anymore, Kenny. It's really helping other founders fulfill their mission, either through strategy or investment or relationships and since maybe because I've been all in to one venture, I literally had all my eggs in one basket with Manitoba Harvest for 20 years. That a more diversified approach is what's right for me for the next stage of my career, the next kind of stage of life. So I have dozens of businesses that I'm invested in, and now literally hundreds of entrepreneurs and founders that I'm talking with and trying to help and coach and mentor, and that part feels that give back feels better than anything else that I'm
I mean, how cool is that though? Like, I mean, you've done well. You ground through it, like you didn't give up, and now to give younger people or entrepreneurs that that help to understand that, okay, you can do it, but just understand there's a shitload of walls coming, but you can climb them all, but you just got to be ready for it. So I think it's wonderful. It's fascinating.
I think, the one of the coolest things, I think, I say this, right? Like I always find that the greatest disappointment for me and the greatest kind of insight is that there's no grandiose plan. It's like, if you just do what you say you're going to do, success comes out of that, right? And I heard the same out of you, is like, it's like you got to win all the little things, right? Like you got to do all the little things, you got to win all the little things. And I don't know about you, right? Like when I run into a lot of like startups that are starting out, there's these big grandiose plans, but when you kind of like, got it, where's the like 5 things that you must do? And most of them are like, right, no, it's this grand plan. You're like, no, where are the 5 things? So I think it's kind of cool that you're helping to, impart some knowledge. We've got some really, this podcast, we've just interviewed all these really cool people that are doing cool things. It's amazing that you're out there kind of helping, these guys, just help guide them. It's fantastic.
I think it's important. I think otherwise what people want to do, all they want to do is, I want to be what Mike is.
Yeah.
Whew, I don't know if people want that. If they knew, if they knew how many scars it took to
successful. You had some, challenges, and then you battled for a long time. But that's part of winning the war. You got to win a shitload of battles, right? You just don't walk in and sell for $100 million or $10 million or $1 billion. It just doesn't happen. I
actually think it, and that's probably the one thing, is like almost nobody sells for $100 million, right? Like even in the startup world, everyone goes, yeah, we're going to be the next. And you're like, no, there is no next. Like 1% or 2% of startups make it, right? Everybody else folds or goes away to do something else or gets bought out, or, like how many other companies like Manitoba Harvest are there, right? That have sold, like $100 million, but have sold over twice. Like there's not a lot of those, right? So they want to be you, but they I don't know how many are prepared to do the work in between, right? To your point, Kenny. So I think it's amazing.
Yeah. And I tell people, be you, be understand what makes you unique. Right. Trying to be me or trying to be anyone else is just not going to work. You got you have to be individual to you, and from there, not everyone is made to grow a very successful business. Yeah. They just may not know it yet. It's not their calling. It is somewhat of the entrepreneur's dilemma, that entrepreneurs are good at visioning and creating something and get it going. But then there's the shiny object syndrome, saying, "Oh, we got to do everything now, and we have to satisfy all of these demands." Where that's usually a good reason or a big reason to fail. You do need the F word there. Focus is kind of key, and so in my help is I've quite simplified it. Tell me what you're doing. And then I'll digest that. And then I would tell you what I would do if I was in your situation right now, with enough context that right. I'm not just a strategist. I'm an operational guy. I'm a born a born entrepreneur and a made CEO. So if you want to talk ops or finance or sales or marketing or any aspect of the business, I can geek out on all of them. And ultimately my intuition or my gut feel from the experience in life spits out something that's helpful for people to get to their next stage or their next step.
It's amazing.
I think it's great. I'm super thrilled that you're trying to help. You're trying to help people and you're giving back. I think that's just awesome.
I'm trying to make this world a healthier place, and
God bless you, man. That's good.
And I'm going to be the change that I wish to see in the world for sure. And I encourage more others to do it, and I encourage others to do it at every level of success. I've been, the reality is I've given back for the 20 years that I've been in business, and I just had limited time, Kenny.
Right.
The world was going by at 1 million miles a minute, trying to accomplish all that we're accomplishing, and now I have more time, so I could be a little more methodical and focused on it.
Lovely commodity to have.
Yay.
A little bit of time.
Time is a great commodity.
It's a beautiful commodity.
Have said all about that. Until you can afford it, then it's hard to understand.
Yeah.
So I feel so family's good. Things are good in the house. Life is great. You're getting through COVID. Everything's tickety-boo, more or less.
Yeah.
I can hear kids in the background. That's not my kids. My kids don't talk that level of voice anymore, nor do Phil's. We're well past that. Well past that.
Yeah, life is great. Everyone's healthy and happy. Living in the country, enjoying the simple life and the day to day, and having an impact right from home is a COVID silver lining, I guess. I feel fortunate that I can work from home. Even this it's a big virtual test. As part of even Canadian Health Food Association, which I'm a big part of, and we've had the 40 years of the biggest trade shows in Canada for all things natural products and health foods, no longer happening, or as of this year, for this season. And so we're going virtual, and it's for a guy that's always been really interested in lean manufacturing, lean office. Virtual is the leanest that you can get. And so when society says, "Oh, okay, I understand now. I can instead of being at a trade show, I can be on my phone chatting and doing business and deals and meeting new people." I'm going to do everything that I can on behalf of CHFA to help cross that bridge, because I think it'll make a bigger impact, and it'll even support more of our industry growing in that way. So I keep myself healthy, stable at home, and do look forward to being able to travel or
I think we all do.
Feeling comfortable when the world kind of travels again. But I'm also a stay-at-home kind of person and can enjoy that.
Yeah, it's been nice to be grounded.
Yeah, amen to that.
It has. A little weird at the beginning. First couple months, I thought I need to get. I got to go somewhere, and now I'm just thinking I kind of like I'm not that bad on the ground. I'm not that bad being home. I quite like it.
I had to go to a client's office, and I had to rifle through the closet to find a backpack to throw my laptop in. And I found all these different versions of travel backpacks, because prior to lockdown, I was doing all these trips to Europe, and you get used to them. It's almost like a blindside, right? Because you realize it takes me like a whole day to get there. I do this meeting, and it takes me so I save 8 hours on the way back, but I'm working on the plane. It's just this colossal waste of time for a handful of days. And then you realize the science that goes with that, right? Is well, if I take this backpack, maybe I can jam all my stuff in here so I don't have to go through check-in, and I don't have to check a bag. So it's I had these moments where I'm like, whew, thank God, stick that back in the closet. I don't need to look at that bag anymore. Maybe I don't need a bag. I'll just carry my laptop to the client's office. I won't be there it's just, it's a funny thing. So, yeah.
For over the 20 years in business, I traveled about 100 or maybe 150 days a year. And so, that definitely, it definitely takes its toll any way you,
for sure.
Look at that. And so, we're living in that time. There's got to be a better way. Well,
there has to be.
There is. Yeah.
We're showing that there is a different way for sure.
Yeah.
Some parts probably not better, but many much better.
Yeah.
I think it's been a good learning experience for all of us. I mean, as long as we can stay healthy and, it's unfortunate that it has to be a pandemic that resets us a little bit, but sometimes that's just what it takes.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of unhealthy things in this world. So anything that points a little bit more to health for the future,
we'll take it.
Yeah,
we'll take it.
I'm a big proponent of that.
Yeah, Mike, thanks for being on the podcast. We really enjoyed this.
I really appreciate it, Mike. Thanks for doing that. I'm really happy you said yes. Yeah. It was nice talking to you.
Well, thanks for doing what you guys are doing, and I hope the message helps one person. I mean, that's
all we ask for.
Yeah,
that's what we want.
Yeah. If they want to find you, where are the best places to find you?
LinkedIn's the best place. I'm not a big social media guy, but I do like to LinkedIn, and I've been sharing and giving back and connecting with people there. So if you search Mike Fata on LinkedIn, that's a good.
We'll link Mike's contacts in the show notes below. So as usual, go there, and then you'll be able to find Mike and talk to Mike. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, awesome, guys. Well,
I really appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Yeah, take care.
Okay, take care of yourself, man. Ciao.
Hey.
Well,
that was cool. He's cool.
He's a fascinating young man.
Yeah,
right? I mean,
he's cool.
Think about it. You go from, you drop out of school at 13.
Yeah.
You work in an industry completely unrelated to.
Yeah.
Which it's tough, right? Because if you don't have the education, I mean, I'm not knocking the trades. Because I think the trades are definitively way undervalued, and really people should look at trades.
Yeah.
But it's a tough go. Like, where do you go? You end up in a store as a clerk, or you're going to end up framing houses, and nothing wrong with either of them.
Nope.
But to go from there, dropping out, having obviously self-worth issues at that point because you're overweight and et cetera, because that takes a toll on, we're all insecure as on a good day anyway. Yep. And then if you add other things into it, but then to take it from where you go, and to me, it's just I find it fascinating. The fuck, I would, first off, why pick a fucking product that's got problems before you start, and then you don't have enough sense in your head to give up.
Yeah, I mean, he picked. It's not even uphill. He picked a steep vertical. Like, he literally went rock climbing with a new product, right? Like 100%. Everyone else does this. He's got to do this, or almost this, really, right? Like,
well, you're going into the biggest country in the biggest consumer market in the world, and you got the DAA chasing you. I mean, really?
Yeah.
So what do? You don't quit. No, you fight them.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So let's take him to court for 2.5 years. Well, sure, that's logical.
Yeah, that's the most.
Like, who does that shit?
I know. It's amazing.
Anyway, for our listeners, if you do like to want to follow him on LinkedIn. It's Mike Fata, Fata. But Mike's interesting. He posts a lot of cool things, and he is trying. I mean, he's always been really receptive to talking to people and helping people. But it's nice. He is giving back. He's not one of those that is cashed out, made a crap load of money, and doing nothing. I think he's vested in the industry. Like, he's totally committed to the health channel.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a cool guy.
It's fantastic.
Very cool guy. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. How's everything else going?
Everything's good. Yeah, it's been you know what? I'm coming off, so Monday, I guess it's settling in a little bit. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays are like kind of upside down, right? Like, it's just chock full of stuff. And then Thursdays and Fridays tend to be a little bit slower, which is fantastic.
I'm trying to do the same.
I
don't mind front loading the week, but I'm kind of like in the tail end of the week. I just mellow it out.
Yeah. I mean, I've had a busy enough couple of weeks that, like, I rolled into this morning going, oh, actually, I've got a bit of time to think and finish some things I got to do. Like, I've got some deliverables, but I've got some time, so it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing today. I think it's gonna be just a numbers day. Yeah, I've got time. I can have the idiot box on, sit on the couch, and just start looking for things.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm ignoring the other thing. Like, I've got to do. It's like middle of the month, almost end of the month, and I haven't done billing for the prior month yet. So there's part of me that's like, get on that.
I get it.
So,
Well, the thing is, what we all forget, that's the part that sort of pays the bills. I mean, it's kind of quasi important.
Yeah, you know, like because until
I'm the
you pay
same.
the bill, it's work for free.
Well, exactly. And I do.
So, you know,
Yeah,
and it's not like they're not
I
going to
get
pay
it.
me. It's just that I haven't asked for payment, right? So you can't really pay me if I'm not going to ask for it, right? So
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
yeah, it takes some work, but yeah, I'll get there.
Yeah, all good.
Awesome.
I got nothing else for you, man.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm smiling because that last
So
interview
I'm
was
inspired.
just, yeah, he's it's humbling too. Like
Yes.
he's kind of made a bunch of money. He's a self-made guy, and now he's not bigger. Like the ego didn't get any bigger. Nothing got bigger. Everything just kind of like, you know. So it's cool.
He's just a down to earth.
Yeah.
Nice guy, right?
Yeah.
So
awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
That was good, man.
Thanks, dude.
Okay, buddy boy.
Okay.
We shall chat with you soon.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll give you a call later. We'll talk about the shirt.
Yeah. You got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
All good.
Sounds good.
Okay,
Take care, buddy.
We'll chat soon. Ciao.
Okay. Bye.
All right. That's the end of this Commerce Life. We'll be back soon with the next episode. Thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoyed it. Give us feedback. Tell us what you think. Subscribe, like us, join us, share us, tell your friends about us. And we hope to see you next time with more commerce news.